All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is Officer Marakad sitting here with Officer Zanak Ariyah. All right, Officer of the Camp 4, found here in San Diego, California. All right, and first and foremost, we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh, and we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Shema Yasharala Yahweh, Allah Yahweh Yahweh Achet.
The original God's Lord.
Khan. All right, and with that being said, man, y'all see the title. All right, it is what it is. All right, where's my phone? The bottom. All right, and the title of this video is "Love Thy Neighbor as Thyself." All right, let me share my screen because I got to. I'm teaching. Okay. Share the screen so we can dive right into this. All right, and the reason for this lesson because a lot of people get things mixed up, and the reason why a lot of people get things mixed up is because of Christianity. This crack is killing our people. This crack is killing everybody, which is religion, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. All of these are just fake. They're fake things, and you know, and it's just causing everybody to have the wrong understanding. Now, I've enough said about that. Now, diving into this, love thy neighbor as thyself is a very important topic, so people won't get it wrong. So people understand who are their neighbor, who is their neighbor. So when we live in America and you automatically think my neighbor, all right, it's the person that lives next door. I'm racist because it is, you know what I mean? But if I'm a so-called black man, American, which I'm not, I'm an actual Judite. I'm a Jew, all right? I'm the real Jew, according to the Bible, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and discernment, history, archaeology, and everything above, and science. Um, a lot of people will think that their neighbor, when they read this Bible, is the person that lived next door to them. Now, okay, what if they live next door to a Chinese or a Korean person? Is that your brother? A lot of people will say it is. Why? Because we breathe and bleed the same. Now, that right there is very dangerous. And you always got to understand that's a euphemism, and you got to break that up. You got to kill that where it stands. All right? You got to be able to do that because that is vague and it's a blanket statement. It's very vague. Of course, we all believe dogs bleed and breathe too. And then they'll say, well, hey, some of our DNA is saw in dogs too, man. People just they get lost in translation about things. Okay, so what I myself and officers in Nakariyat is going to do today is break this down for you. And what we're about to go to is we're going to go to the Bible. We're going to go to Mark. So, let me see this. Let me get my notes out. Every man should have notes when they teach. So we're going to go to Mark 12 and 30. That's where we're going to go first. All right. So, and the reason why I'm going to Mark 12 and 30 first is because this precept right here is taken out of context a lot. All right. This precept is taken out of context a lot. A lot more than you think it does, okay? So this is Mark chapter 12 and verse 30. Read, please.
Mark chapter 12, verse 30.
Uh-huh.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul,
Uh-huh.
with all thy mind,
Uh-huh.
and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment.
Right.
And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these.
And right here, there is none other commandment greater than these. So this is Mark, and he's saying something he has already heard. And what comes before Mark? Okay, let's go to the book of Matthew. So we're going to precept upon precept when it comes to this. So go to Matthew 22 and 37. Let's hear Christ say this. And remember, this is none other commandment greater than these. All right? Remember that. Now, somebody else is going to say the same thing, but in a different way. All right? Matthew 22 and 37, please. Just a second. Hold on. Just a second. Go ahead and read, Baba Kushai.
Matthew chapter 22, verse 37.
Matter of fact, start at 36, if you don't mind.
Matthew chapter 22, verse 36.
Uh-huh.
Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
Right.
Verse 37. Jesus said unto them, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, with all thy mind. Verse 38. This is the first and great commandment.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
On these two commandments, and on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
And on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Hang all the law. All right? So, if I was to hang something, it's going to hang there. All right? And if I say, and the prophets up there hanging too, because what's up there hanging is very important. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So what do we got to do? Now we got to go to the law, because Christ must got this from somewhere. But let's go to somewhere real quick. Let's go to Leviticus 19 and 17. Let's go to the law, okay? Hang all the law and the prophets. Right. Now, those two precepts right there, Mark chapter 12 and verse 30 and Matthew chapter 22 verse 37, these two precepts right here are taken out of context, and people don't pay attention to it at all, because they like to run to, this is my brother, we believe both the same, and my neighbor. I love my neighbor as thyself. And like, come on, man. You got to really think, you got to read. And this is how we get caught up in a lot of things that we're not supposed to be in. It's because of this. All right? So, Baba Kusha, Officer Zanakariya, please read Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17 to 18.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
Thou shalt not in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and suffer sin upon him. Read.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
Keep reading.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Now he said right here, pay attention. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, comma, right? But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So my neighbor is my people. So I should not rebuke my people and not suffer sin upon them. And what he mean by that is, don't be so mad to a person where you're not going to tell him where he's did wrong, where they can repent from it. Don't grudge against them. If somebody's done something wrong to you, tell them you've done something wrong. Tell that person they've done something wrong to you, so it won't become a sin unto you. But he's talking about your people, because the only people that black people, native Indians, their people, which are bywords, native Indian, land born. Come on now, that's not God doesn't give his people that name names like that. Black man. I'm not a color from a Crayola box. Mexican. He's not mixed up. But when you look into the word more, it just means Mexica, means anointed. All right. And that's a different thing for a different time. But at the same time, these are our people we know through archaeology, facts, and the Bible, especially, that trumps everything. Okay. But he says here, but thou shalt love the neighbor as thyself. But he's talking about not bearing any grudge against the children of thy people. Now, I understand this clearly that the Chinese and Koreans are totally different people than me, even if they live next door to me. So when it comes to an American concept and the American philosophy, that would be my neighbor. It's still not my people. The Chinese person can walk next door and say, "Hey, you're my neighbor." Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm his people. I got to get along with my own people. All right. Now, let's go to Leviticus 25 real quick. All right. So it's important that I show you who you are supposed to love according to the Bible. And I just showed you one precept in Leviticus 19:17, which are your own people you love. Now, does that mean I gotta hate everybody else? The scripture says, "Show thyself friendly." I wasn't talking about to just my people, but show yourself friendly. I show myself friendly to everybody, man. Don't mean I gotta hate the guy. He's not my people. I don't have to love him. I gotta love my own people. But I'm gonna give you an example of your own people and the other nations. I'm gonna show you who we gotta love and treat right versus who we don't have to love and treat right. That's the example that I'm going to give you through the Bible and the law of the Bible. Okay? Give me just a second. All right. So Leviticus 25 and 35. If you can please read that, Officer Zanakari Aria, I would appreciate that very much.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 35.
Uh-huh.
And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee,
Uh-huh.
then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
So check this out. These two words, stranger or sojourner. Let's go into that real quick, because it's going to come up again. Stranger, stranger with, strangers. Now watch this, an outline of a biblical usage, right? Sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer, lacking inherited rights. Now watch, of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. Now you have this one, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights, right? They lack inherited rights. That means they didn't not gravitate on, they didn't accept them. But this one, of foreigners in Israel, don't say through, but though conceded rights, though they have conceded rights. All right. Let's go to the Strong's definition. By implication, a foreigner, alien, sojourner, stranger, a sojourner, right? So can an Israelite man be a stranger and a sojourner? Yes, he can. In the land of Judea, all the Judites live there, right? And you got some that live in the suburbs, the Levites. And then on a different part of the land, you got the Benjamites. That's the southern kingdom. And then you have the land of Samaria in the northern kingdom. You have Naphtali, you have Asher. They're strangers when they come into the land of Judea, in the land of Judah. They're strangers, they're sojourners. They're coming from their own land. On the other side, they're strangers and sojourners. Now let's get back to reading again, because it's very important that you pay attention to this. I'm just showing you that Israel can be a stranger or a sojourner. All right. All right. Now
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 36.
Read.
Take thou no usury of him
Start back at 35 for me real quick so we can go into context.
Verse 35. And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or sojourner, that he may live with thee. Take thou no usury of him, or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee.
So he's saying you can't use your brother. You got to treat your brother right. Thou shalt, if he live with you, he's fallen in decay with you, and you relieve him. He said, "My brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee. Thou shalt relieve him. Help your brother. Give him some money to put in his pocket. Now, it's a loan. Take down no usury of him or increase. Don't give him no money and be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to pay me 30% back on top of the money that you paid me. You can't do that. You got to treat your brother right." Read again, 37.
37. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase.
Can't do that. Keep reading.
Verse 38. I am the Lord your God, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God.
And to be your God. He's talking about his people that he took out of Egypt. What people did the Most High take out of Egypt? Israel. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God. This is Israel that the Most High is talking to Israel about, not giving things to get usury of them or increase and all that stuff. You can't do this to your people. Please read 39.
Verse 39. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant.
As a what?
A bondservant.
Now let's look up a bondservant. Servant, man servant, bondage, bondservant on all sides. Slave, servant. So a lot of people be like, hey, black people sold black people into slavery. We're not black, we're brown. And not all brown people are the same nations, man. You got Shem, you got Ham, and you got Japheth. White man comes from Isaac. We can make black, we can make dark, white, pink, we can make whatever, okay? But this bondman is talking about a servant right here, a slave, a servant, all right? Look at these are just different other meanings, A, B, C, D, E, F. You know what I'm saying? A bondman. So let's go back real quick. So read 39 and go and read back down, go into context about Kushah.
Verse 39. And if thy brother that dwell by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant.
A slave, read.
But as a hired servant.
As a what?
Hired servant.
As a hired servant.
And read. As a sojourner, he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee until the year of Jubilee.
Until the year of Jubilee. A Jubilee, you let off the sound in the time of the atonement. That's when you blow the horn that the year of Jubilee is right around the corner. And in the 50th year is the year of Jubilee of the release. You let everybody's debt go, whatever they owe you. If they borrowed $1 million from you before the year of Jubilee, they don't owe you no more. But it's only talking about still Israel right now. It's not talking about nobody else right now. But it's about to change context. But I'm just letting you know it's not talking about it's not talking about any other nation right now. It's talking about Israel. Okay? Read.
Verse 41. And then shall he depart from thee.
Start at 40, Bible Kushah.
Verse 40. But as a hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and into the possession of his family.
Finish reading.
And unto the possession of his fathers shall he return.
So, in this one, and then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him. See, he and his children can leave. They're not possessions unto their own brothers. You can't keep your brother in bondage. They can leave after they finish paying you back, or in the time of Jubilee. They can go to their own, right? Now, I'm telling you this and I'm pointing this out because it's about to change. Right now, the Most High is only talking about Israel. I'm trying to show you the difference between your brothers, your neighbor, and between your neighbor that's of another nation. It's different. The neighbor that is of the same nation of you, you're supposed to love and not grudge against. And that is hanging on all the law. This is Israel's law. This law, this heritage has nothing to do with any other nation. A heritage has laws, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, feast days, and everything. Those other nations are different. They have nothing to do with these laws, okay? Keep reading.
Verse 42. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They should not be sold as bondmen.
They should not be sold as slaves. Israel he bought out of Egypt. Read.
Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shalt fear thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have.
Hold on. You stop at 43 real quick. So now, see, these neighbors, right? You have to let go on Jubilee, and you have to help them, right? Now, you're about to see a change. Now read Leviticus 25 and 44. Now it's about to change. Read.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 43. And thou shalt not rule over with rigor, but shalt fear thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen.
Shall be of the who?
The heathen.
Read.
That are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids.
Now let's look up heathen real quick. We already know what bondman is. That's slave. And thy bondmaids, slave. Heathen is goayim in the Hebrew. Goayim. This is in the Yiddish. It's Hebrew. You got to straighten it up in your own language. So goayim, heathen, means nation, heathen, Gentiles, people. So these other people that are a possession unto you are Gentiles. These are heathens. These other nations, these other people, right? Usually of non-Hebrew people. And can an Israelite be a heathen? Wow, that's another subject we will have to talk about. And if you want to, inbox me, like this video, subscribe, and share. Right? So let's keep going. Right? So let's go back to where we were. All right. Started Leviticus. Where did you stop at?
Verse 45.
You start at verse 45. Start at verse 44 and read down.
Verse 44. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession.
Now, these heathens, these strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget in your land. So if these heathens have kids in our land, they are possession, and they shall be your possessions. Keep reading.
Verse 46. And ye shall take them as an inheritance.
As a what?
As an inheritance.
So the inheritance is something that you get when your father died, you inherit something. So when I die, my servants go to my son. They don't go nowhere. I own them and their children. There's a difference between Israel and these other nations, these goyams. All right? There's a big difference. Now, look at this. Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget in your land, and they shall be your possessions. All right, read verse 46, and I'm going to go back up. Go ahead.
Verse 46. Ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you,
Ooh.
to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever.
They shall be what?
Your bondmen forever.
So now say it in context so they can understand what bondman means. Read that. And they shall what?
Be your bondmen forever.
They shall be your slaves forever. All right, keep reading.
But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor.
Now watch this with the children, right? Which they beget in your land, and of their families that are with you, which they beget. Who are they? Those are children. So let's go up here real quick. All right. Let me see real quick. Where is that? So in verse 41, and then shall he depart from thee. Hold on, I'm going to start at 40. But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee unto the year Jubilee. That when you can let him go. They're not an inheritance. This is Israel. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possessions of his father shall he return. Now, when you go down here, it says it differently, right? So, Leviticus 25 and 45, moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget in your land. Those are the children. All right. Beget means what? Let's go real quick. Because we don't want nobody to run anywhere and say that we're not telling the truth. A lot of people do that when the most high truth contradicts your way of living. That's when people start running everywhere else. Because whatever the most high is saying contradicts how you've been living and what you've been saying, and you don't want to humble yourself down. Now, beget, yalat in the years, yalat in the Hebrew, right? Beget, bear, born, bring forth, bear, midwife, child, delivered, born, birth, labor, brought up. Okay, to bear, bring forth, beget, gender, travail, of childbirth, right? To beget, to be born, all right? To declare one's birth, pedigree. Okay. Verse 45. Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget, born, brought forth, born in your land, and they shall be your possessions. They can't leave. But when we went up there to the other precept, those children can leave of the Israelites at the time of Jubilee, and before the Jubilee if they pay back what they owe to their brother. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for your possessions. They shall be your bondmen forever. So when you go back up to Mark and Matthew, Baba Kusha.
Go back up to Mark and Matthew. Which one?
Mark 12, I believe it was. It's Mark 12 and 30. So let's go back over here to.
Put down Leviticus?
Yeah, you can put that down. We're done with that. So when you go up to these right here, it confuses you because you don't know the law. It confuses people, man. That's why we us Israelite brothers always say that Christianity is crack. It kills you. It kills you. Read that when you get it.
12 and what?
30.
Mark chapter 12, verse 30.
Read.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these.
Boom. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. We just showed you. Your neighbor is your own people. The people the Most High took out of Egypt, your brother, that's the one you love. Those are the ones you give money to without usury and everything else. Go over to Matthew real quick, 22 and 37. Let's go to Matthew.
Matthew chapter 22, verse 37.
Hold on, let me get there. All right, go ahead.
Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love thy Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and all thy mind.
Right.
This is the first and great commandment.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm. Read.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
And we went to the law. We didn't go to the prophets. We didn't have to. We went to multiple precepts. But at the same time, your neighbor is of your own people. Leviticus 19 and 17. I told you not to. I told you you can lose it, but my bad.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bring a grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
And this neighbor's talking about the children of your own people. Not the neighbor that's Chinese next door and your so-called black woman, so-called Mexican woman. No. Your people. That's who you love. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Panamanians, Guatemalans, Salvadorians, Honduras, Brazilians, Dominicans, Haitians. Man, come on, man. We can keep going on and on about our people, but you got to watch our channel and subscribe. Y'all got to understand in these last days, man, not everybody's your brother. You got to learn who that is, and that's why we're here. That's why the Most High put us here to teach y'all and let you know who are your people and who's the people that the Most High love. All right? You got anything you want to say, officer? And with that, we give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God and His only begotten Son, who the world originally called Jesus Christ. Shema, Yasharala, Yahweh, Alahaya, Nawa, Yahweh, Chad.
Your Israel, our God, the Lord.
Khan.